Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite white colonizing Zionist, Tall, the Traveling Clad, coming to you live from the United States of America. Get your white colonizer merch down below in the description at thetravelingclad.com. I got a really special clip to show you guys of a dear friend, Abraham Hamra. I'm actually going to be speaking with him this April 9th in San Francisco. More on that at the end of the show, but let's take a look at this clip.
30 years ago, my father, my 7-month pregnant mother, my 2 younger sisters and myself were finally allowed to leave Damascus, Syria. We came to the United States in pursuit of freedom, in pursuit of opportunity and safe refuge. 14 years ago, when I was applying to law school, there was a question on the application that read as follows: why do you want to become an attorney? At the time, I remember writing about my experience as a Jew from Syria. In Syria, we were discriminated against and restricted from certain professions. We were subjected to violence with no repercussions to the attacker. Our passports were stamped with the words Musawi, people of Moses, to denote our Jewish identity, to separate us from Arabs. We were held as political pawns and not allowed to leave Syria until the U.S. reached a treaty in the 90s. I wrote about how shocked I was when I first arrived to the United States of America, seeing Jews not only walking around everywhere with a kippah, but seeing them walk around with a Magen David. I thought to myself, the freedom of one to express himself, how wonderful it is, what a radical concept. I concluded by talking about how I deeply treasured these values, these protections, and how I wanted to be an attorney so I can be empowered to fight for those who were facing discrimination or persecution. But who would have thought that 14 years after I wrote that essay, I would be standing here in front of all of you actively fighting the same type of hate that led to the displacement of my family once before, that led to the ethnic cleansing of Jews from Arab countries and Iran, resulting in the creation of 850,000 and 1 million refugees. The same type of hate that we saw on the streets of Amsterdam only Thursday. Who would have thought that nearly 30 years later, this hate would follow me to the United States and transform into a social justice movement? After October 7th, after the worst massacre of Jews in a single day since the Holocaust, since the Farhud, at the hands of violent and unrepentant barbaric monsters, we saw people celebrating the streets. We saw people celebrating hate and barbarism. For the past 13 months, they have displayed and acted upon their hatred, from exclusionary encampments and spaces to intimidation tactics to assault on the streets. From Ivy League to universities to corporations to the UN, there was no safe space for a Jew. They want to distort and manipulate our Jewish identity and tell us where we belong. But here's the thing, we are in the United States of America and we have rights. We have each other. And our unity frightens our enemy. Look around. See the Jews standing next to you. See the ally standing next to you. We're all here standing shoulder to shoulder for each other, for our hostages and for Israel. Feel the love. Feel the unity. Let that energy inspire you. Let that energy empower you to say never again will I hide my identity. Never again will I accept being a second-class citizen. Take pride in who we are. Take pride in our beautiful and moral homeland, Israel. Take pride in the IDF. Take pride in praying for and advocating for our hostages. Take pride in our community. We will come out of this darkness. Israel will be victorious. Our hostages will come home. And together, we will not only continue to survive, but we will continue to thrive. Am Yisrael Chai.
My brother. I love this man so much. I got the recent pleasure of becoming friends with Abraham Hamra, and I got to tour him around some cool places when we were in Israel, when he was in Israel when I was there. Right now, first of all, everybody, if you don't already follow him, Abraham Hamra on Instagram. I believe he's really only active on Instagram. Abraham Hamra, loud and proud Syrian Jewish ex-refugee. That's how he labels himself. He's amazing. And it's really been an honor. He's kind of been like my bigger brother on the internet for the last year, amongst other incredible people like Mansour Ashkar and other incredible people I've connected with in this last year. But you know, me and Abraham, we get recognized as each other often on the street. Happened to me in Israel, happened to him as well. He got recognized as me and I got recognized as him. His story is so inspiring. And I remember particularly when we were driving through the Golan Heights together in Israel, he was telling me the story of how even in the Syrian neighborhood, the Syrian Jewish neighborhood he grew up in Damascus, how they would call him Musa. Well, I think he says it Musawi in the video, but I learned it in my Arabic courses as Musawi. Musa means Moses in Arabic. The prophet Musa, Nabi Musa. For the Muslims, it means Moses. And when you add we at the end of an Arabic word, it's like somebody from there. So if you're from Yaffo in Israel, you'd be Yafawi. If you're from Gaza, you're Gazawi. You have that W at the end of the city's name. So Musawi is the people of Moses, like he said in the video. And I find it so interesting that they always try to shove us down this ideology that we lived in peace and the Arabs and the Muslims accepted us and they loved us, but they always found a way to discriminate against us. Now, I don't want to speak for Abraham. I acknowledge, or I implore everybody to go to his page, listen to his story, watch him speak. He's amazing. And also, I should mention right now in this video, hopefully this video will go out very soon. If you guys don't already know, I'm going to be speaking with Abraham on stage. We're doing a panel about our different Mizrahi Jewish backgrounds. April 9th, 2025 in San Francisco, California. Please head over to Malka Productions on Instagram and sign up. I'll try to remember to put a link in this video, but if you don't, it's on Instagram, Malka Productions. Go to Malka Productions. You see that right there up there? Malka Productions and Jimena present Jewish Voices. I'm going on stage with Abraham, with Celine Rubin, and Matthew Nuriel, 2 Persian Jews, 1 Syrian Jew, 1 Iraqi, Mizrahi Jew. It's going to be really, really cool. So if you guys want to come and you're from the California area, if you come out, I think there's a VIP meet and greet tickets as well, so we can actually hang out. Go check those out. I'll try to remember again to put tickets in the description of this video. But Abraham, I remember when he explained to me the story of being Musawi, of being known as a Musawi, and the harassment that he endured, not by Syrian Jews, actually, ironically enough, or by Syrian Arabs. I mean, I think they also abused them, but by Palestinians that lived in Syria, and how they would constantly taunt them and abuse them and beat them up and try to demean them in Syria. And obviously the Syrian Arab Muslims, seeing more in common with the Palestinians for some reason, would just let their Jewish community be abused. And this thing, by the way, this happened in Iraq to my family as well. As Hitler youth groups were popping up in the street and Mein Kampf was being translated into Arabic, they literally just turned a blind eye to it. And then the Arabs wonder, the Muslims wonder why we never want to come back. Why we'll never want to live amongst them again. Why we'll never want to live under their governance again. They sit there and they wonder and they say, you betrayed us, you left us. What options did you give us with pogrom after pogrom and abuse after abuse? You turned us into victims, but we refused to say victims. We rose up quite literally from the ashes. We refused to stay oppressed by you. Now, my grandparents took him a lot earlier to leave. Abraham Hamra's family stayed until he was a kid. I believe he emigrated to America when he was 8 years old. So I'm talking to you, this abuse by Arabs onto him happened recently. Recently, this is like maybe 30 years ago. I don't want to give away AB's age. 20 years ago, 30 years ago? You guess, he's a young, handsome-looking man. Love you, Akhi. If you happen to be watching this. So all I can say is, if you need more proof, I tell you guys stories about what happened to my family. Then I can give you guys stories of what happens to me living in Israel, but you might write that off. You'll be like, oh, you don't have to live there. It's the this, that, whatever. My grandma, she's a refugee. She never killed anybody. She came to Israel fleeing danger. She doesn't know Houthi rocket or Hezbollah rocket asks her before they launch over her home to potentially kill her. They don't ask her. When Saddam Hussein was firing rockets over to Israel and threatening chemical weapons at my mom and her sister and her brother and our whole Iraqi family, they didn't wonder if the Jews of Iraq were there. They did it because the Jews of Iraq were there. They wanted to finally kill the Jews of Iraq. They wanted their final solution. So you don't need to believe me. I just tell you the stories of my family. Here's a Syrian Jew who was born and raised in Syria and had to leave because of Islamic Arab persecution. Don't sell me that bullshit that we lived in peace and everything was kumbaya and we had fun together and barbecues. While there was periods of time where, yes, it was good, there were always periods of time where it was bad. And the Jews didn't forget that. It drives me crazy that people think the Jews just forgot. Oh, they just forgot. that they were abused and they got over it and everything was hunky-dory. Imagine every October 7th that happened through history in the Arab world. You think October 7th was the first time? It hurts for us because it's fresh and it's terrible. It's not to bring down what happened on October 7th. But imagine how many October 7ths happened in the Arab world, in the European world, in Ethiopia to the Jewish people. Just think back. You don't need to trust me. Look in history. How many massacres happened in Morocco and in Saudi Arabia and in Lebanon and in Syria to the Jewish people, to Iraq. Farhud wasn't the first one. They've had a reputation of murdering Jews and abusing us. Yemen as well. Don't forget them. So don't give me this bullshit. Don't hand me this bullshit that we all lived in peace. It's been the one thing I've been fighting against since I really got in this game. Because I remember I grew up with my grandpa's stories. I was filming my grandpa. Now that I'm in America in my childhood room, I'm gonna get that footage and hopefully do something with it in the future. I got that footage of my grandpa talking about it since I was a very young kid. I've been filming my grandpa on camcorders, on VHS tapes, interviewing him about his life in Iraq. I grew up with these stories. That's why when October 7th hit me, people started calling me a white colonizer, unironically. People started calling me a Nazi. I was unable to shut my mouth. I couldn't take it. And that's why I get here, and that's why I fight every day. And that's why people like Abraham Hamra refuses to stay silent. And I have so much appreciation for this man. I really see a big brother in him. And the vibes when we first met, literal big brother energy. So I highly recommend. We also, ironically enough, filmed a video that kind of went viral in the Arab world. In Arabic, he was definitely feeding me my lines, full clarity, because my Arabic is not that good. But let's go show support to our brother, Abraham Hamra. If you don't know him already, follow him, show him love. Abraham Hamra, loud and proud Syrian Jewish refugee. Go give him some love on Instagram, folks. If you don't follow him on Instagram, find a way to send him a message that you love him and that you appreciate him from the Clats. Go give him a comment. Traveling Clat sent you. Let's bombard him with some love the way that we know how to. I know you guys have been doing it for all these awesome channels that we've been covering, and I really appreciate that. And if you do love me and you want to support me, buying some merchandise, White Colonizer merch in the description down below. Get it. Be on brand with your White Colonizer mug, with your White Colonizer hat, with your shirt. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you long time. Goodbye, Clats. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.